everyone, vlog number 2. This is Tim is here with me again, and today we're going to talk about Oz the Great and Powerful. Follow this rabbit trail if you will. This is a movie incorporating elements of a play that was adapted from a book that was based on a movie that is adapted from a book. So yeah, that is a long trail to follow. Technically, this is the second Disney Oz movie. No one really remembers it, but there was one in 1985 called Return to Oz that is one of the darkest children's movies ever made. That movie is more true to the books and is, like I said, extremely dark. Like, Dorothy has to go through electroshock therapy at the beginning.
Children's movies don't have enough electric shock therapy.
Exactly. We need more of that.
It was sort of a curious choice, Sam Raimi, to direct a family film.
And the fact that it's so heavily computer-oriented CGI, and he's known more for practical effects in his work.
Comparisons are going to be made to Tim Burton's situation with Alice in Wonderland. I think you can see more trademarks of Sam Raimi as opposed to Tim Burton. Tim Burton's felt kind of soulless to me.
Yeah, we both were worried that this was, because it has a producer from Alice in Wonderland, we thought it might have followed that trend of where it's a very visual and vibrant world, but it has no substance whatsoever, which was the case with Tim Burton's vision. But this one, again, was vibrant, but I feel like it actually tried to have some basis of a story.
Yeah, I think it tried. It had the same sort of issues where the protagonist is just sort of like there, and like people are like, you have to do this, you have to do that, and they're just kind of like, okay. Like, there's no like drive for them.
The film opens with him performing in a carnival, and it's black and white, early 1900s, like we said. So it is trying to follow the model set up by the original Wizard of Oz, where it starts out in the black and white Kansas setting. But then, as everything happens and the character is dragged into this new world, it slowly turns into a color film, which was interesting, and I liked the visual callback.
The character was strange to me because I don't think there's ever been a Disney movie where like the protagonist is a player. You know, like he like dances with 3 chicks in the first like 20 minutes of this movie.
Yes. Mila Kunis did an alright job. I don't think it's a spoiler now to say that she plays the Wicked Witch of the West. They kind of were, I think they were kind of trying to hide that at the very beginning of this marketing campaign, but it's kind of obvious now. I don't feel like she was developed well enough. She was just, again, reactionary. She was being manipulated the entire movie.
They mistake her arc as depth when it's just, first she's good, now she's bad. You know, it's not, there's no like struggle. For a movie that was so long, there were a lot of rushed things, you know?
Especially James Franco and Mila Kunis' relationship. Like, they fall in love in like 2 minutes.
They fall in and out of love pretty quickly, like faster than, you know, Kim and Chris.
And that's and that's the primary motivation for her fall from grace. So it just wasn't set up. It didn't give enough time to develop. It follows the rom-com syndrome of where the characters could solve all of their problems if they would just sit down and talk to each other.
They just thought for 5 seconds.
Yes.
My favorite casting is, or was, Michelle Williams. I think Michelle
she did
Williams
fantastic as Glinda.
She's sort of a classic Hollywood beauty, which really works in the opening black and white scenes where like she looks like someone that would be in a 1930s film. My favorite character in the movie is the China girl.
Yes, she was fantastic.
She's the only one that actually acts like a real human. She's the only one that has anything at stake. Her people were decimated. She's the only one that feels real emotions. Everyone else is just happy all the time, or angry all the time. Or
noble and pure.
Or first they're happy, then they're angry. You know, she was the only one that I actually sort of felt.
She had dynamic.
The whole prophecy thing. Prophecies are annoying to me because there's no explanation for anything. It's just, well, it's prophecy. Like, oh, you're the wizard that's going to save us.
Yeah. I mean,
why am I the wizard? Oh, it's just a prophecy, you know, that whole peace for Oz and the people of Oz are suffering. Where's the suffering? there's no visual evidence. The only people we see are in a giant bubble that protects them from everything. So where are all the people suffering is what I want to know.
It's like episode 1 with Naboo. Like, her people are dying, but we've never seen any of the people.
You have a prequel, or there's a pre-established story, and everyone knows how it begins. So before the end of the movie, you have to make sure everything falls neatly into place to set up the movies that we have already seen.
Yes.
So I think Oz did a pretty good job as far as it goes of setting the Wizard of Oz. There are little things where you're like, oh, I remember that, like the lion.
Yes.
There's a lion that's just there for like a second.
Or that some of the people he knows in Kansas have parallel characters in Oz as well.
Exactly. Were you expecting a scene in the beginning where someone pushes a stroller of Dorothy and it's like, hey, look, Dorothy, look at this wizard.
We saw it in 3D. I think the 3D in this case, at least in my opinion, was actually worth it. There were a couple points where they fell back in the old cliche of having things fly directly at the screen, which is annoying as hell in my opinion. But
there's a monkey in your face.
There's spears. Now there's ice, and that is a very stupid trick I think they use. But when they actually show the landscape shots and the opening titles, it just feels very immersive and grand, and I like that.
Exactly.
It again, like Alice in Wonderland, that open world feeling that was really came through in this.
That's when 3D's at its best.
Yes.
When you feel the depth.
If I had to give it a rating, I'd give it like a 6.5 out of 10. It was enjoyable.
6.5 sounds pretty good.